Right.
Thanks for the reminder. Always good to have.
Absolutely. My few official duties, right? So. Call the meeting to order. I have 6:02. First thing on our agenda is opportunity for public comment. I don't see any members of the public here. I don't believe we received any comments. Have we, Cynthia?
We have not.
All right, well, we will move on to approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes. Hi, Melissa. Two sets of minutes, one's from the November and one's also from the December meeting. So if I had a chance to review, I would take a motion to those minutes.
I can motion to approve the November minutes. I wasn't at the whole meeting for December, so
Motion,
I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Steve, you're a little bit choppy. Just, I don't know if everybody else hears you that way. Just,
so let me try closing things down, see if I can. Is that any better? Nope.
So did Nancy just make a motion or was that a non-motion?
She motioned, I'm waiting for a second, but I don't have. hold on.
That's better, Steve. I'll second the motion to approve the November minutes.
All right, so motion and second on the November minutes. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. All right, looks like it gets unanimous approval. Now we'll move on to the December minutes. The motion to the December minutes.
I move we accept the December minutes.
Thank you, Lane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or correction? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. All right, unanimously approved. Thank you all very much. Okay, so we'll move right into reports. I don't believe we had any subcommittees that met since our last meeting. We left this one on here more or less as a placeholder. Unless I missed something, Cynthia. Nope.
no.
Perfect. So we'll move past that on to staff update, and I will turn it over to Cynthia.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve. So just a couple of things. We are gearing up again for our Taste of Towns, and that's February 20th through March 5th. I'll put Nancy on the spot. You're muted.
We're doing it.
Okay.
We're doing it.
If
I
you can
got the email and we
Okay.
were on vacation. We're in.
Sounds good. Excellent.
Yeah.
So we have so far from Mansfield, we have Gansett Wraps, Dog Lane Cafe, and Fenton River. So the deadline's not till February 6th, so we have some time. But the good thing is between our team and the Wyndham team, we've raised $5,000 from sponsors. So we're excited about the event, February 20th through March 5th. So stay tuned for some more publicity coming out on the event. The other,
Cynthia, I will say that the mayor of Wyndham and I will be treating one another to restaurants in either town. So the more the merrier, please. I told him he can have a choice.
and we have to give Tony credit because she and Mayor DeVivo started talking about more collaboration a while ago. And so this is one of the things that came out of that collaboration. So, so you should have all received an invite to the Connecticut Countryside Summit on January 30th at 7 o'clock at Patriots Park, the building, not the park, at 7. And hopefully you can come and join us. We'll be doing an update on some of the work that's been going on. with Connecticut's countryside. Some of the things we're doing are hopefully funding for a website to promote the region. We just got a draft of a brochure done by the consultant DKA that we're reviewing right now. Trying to do some coordination about Earth Day events to try to promote, go to such and such in Bolton and then come to Tallinn, Mansfield, Coventry. So this will give you a good overview of what we're doing and what we have planned. So if you haven't RSVP'd, if you can RSVP to Eric, if you can attend, that would be great. The other piece, and I will forward this on to you, I just got on Wednesday, and Steve and Lane, we probably will want to have a project review subcommittee meeting. So planning is looking at a public hearing on two pieces. One is to increase the percentage of affordable housing in multifamily developments from 10% to 15%. The 10% is just not achieving the goal that the town is looking for. And the other piece, and again, I'm just getting this, so I may not have a lot of answers, but just to do a quick update. They are proposing a moratorium on a multifamily housing in two areas. One is the Pleasant Valley zone, which is across from Freedom Green. And then also these multiple zones, which is a floating zone, which Eastbrook Heights, if you know that apartment complex behind Eastbrook Mall, and then Freedom Green were developed under that zone. So they're looking at a hearing for the February 21st, and they want comments received by February 16th. So what we will probably do is do something to the subcommittee, and we'll have to decide how that plays out, Steve, because they want comments before the next EDC meeting. So just a heads up on that. And then just the last thing I had in your packet, you had an article in the Chronicle about the Helping Hands program. And if you had a chance to look at that, Little Aladdin, Moe's, Pizza Mike's, Sticks and Stones were among the restaurants that participated. So I thought it would be nice to have a thank you letter from Steve and the EDC for contributing to that program if folks agree. I think that's all I had. I'm probably forgetting something, but.
That's perfect. Two things, well, three things. Definitely yes to the thank you letter. That's a great idea. And if you want me to come in and sign them, let me know and I can stop in. If you have my signature, then feel free to go for it. With respect to the letter on the moratorium in those two different zones, can we have the EDC authorize the subcommittee to send a letter, and then the subcommittee can draft it at a later point, or do we have to have the finished letter to present to EDC?
Yeah, I think if the group's comfortable with that, I think we can do that.
I think what I would say is I would invite any members of the full board here, joining Lane and I drafting the letter if you're available whenever we set this date. But if we're not going to have a full meeting between now and then, that seems to be the only way we could get a letter together in time to submit it.
Who is this letter going to?
It's going to planning and zoning regarding the,
Okay.
yeah, just basically a recommendation letter regarding the moratorium. So I think I would like a motion on this one, a motion to authorize the review. Which one is this? This is the regulation review subcommittee.
Development project review is what it's called now, I think, if I've got it right.
So a motion to authorize the development review subcommittee to send a letter regarding the moratorium that's proposed. And then anyone who wants to join in, we would welcome your input or feedback.
I have a question. What's the recommendation? Do we know that, or is that to be discussed?
That's to be discussed at that meeting. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Just in that case, I will make a motion.
Thank you, Alyssa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor of, what's the, I've lost my motion here, of authorizing the subcommittee to send a letter, please say aye or raise your hand. Great. And I know the subcommittee is just Lane and I, but I'm sure I speak for Lane when I say we would love to have as many of you come. So after we finish this meeting, probably sometime tomorrow, we'll work out a date and we'll let everybody know. So if you can make it, that'd be great. My last question for Cynthia before we move off of staff updates. Cynthia, the restaurant week, the $5,000 in sponsorships, is that used towards promoting Restaurant Week, or is that $5,000 used for something else?
So a couple of things. So it will be used for the promotion. So we have postcards, we have posters, we have ads. I'm trying to think if we have to pay for this, but we'll be doing radio, probably doing some TV. We also will be, and I mentioned this at Finance and Growth last night, is that one of the benefits of, I think it's 500 and up sponsors, is that they get to come to a kickoff event at graduate stores. And this was something that is new. So you get to meet the restaurant owners and the chefs, and under the money raised, we'll be able to provide some food and drink. So I just went over there today to start planning that out. So that's February 13th at 5. So it's a benefit for the major sponsors and others.
Okay, wonderful. Anyone else have any questions or comments regarding the staff update? All right, moving on to business updates, openings and closings. I guess Cynthia had mentioned in a previous meeting that it sounds like Fresh Fork is closed, unfortunately. Yeah. Did anyone else have anything new that they've seen opening or closing wise?
It looks like Sticks and Stones has converted. Is that true?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I had dinner there the other night. It was very nice.
Yeah, my understanding is that they still have the cafe portion for breakfast and lunch, but that they've added an additional wing that does dinner, and that part is where the florist used to be, I believe, and the
Yes.
florist has moved across.
Flores has moved down the.
Yeah.
So it's restaurant florist instead of Sticks and Stones restaurant florist.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
All right, housing update. We got the link with our board pack to the town website from Planning and Zoning that has all the different story maps of the different projects. I didn't notice any new ones on there that we haven't discussed. We do have demolition beginning across the street here at the Standard at Four Corners. UConn has their dorm going up across from Mirror Lake over by South Campus. That's coming along, it looks like. And I don't know that there was much else that wasn't on that storyboard other than this proposed moratorium on DMR and the Pleasant Valley zone.
Yeah, I did have a call with Jen earlier, and actually I should have done that under housing update, so I apologize. But she didn't indicate, she indicated there was nothing else that isn't already on the storyboard.
That storyboard is really nice. That really helps kind of keep everything in one spot. So, and then we have our EDC calendar, which has our different topics for upcoming meetings. Kristen's not here. I'm sure she's going to watch this meeting. So I'll just remind her that we have updating an upcoming town council presentation at some point we'll have to think about. Which kind of leads beautifully into our next topic, which is the organizational meeting. So we are supposed to pick a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. I think we had chair and secretary spots picked. We were waiting for a vice chair. No one had jumped at the opportunity. If anyone's so inclined, speak now. Otherwise, we'll twist Kristen's arm back into doing that again. No? All right.
Steve, can I just jump in? So Kristen was at the last meeting. And I'm not sure exactly if we talked about it. I know we didn't have a quorum and that was part of the issue, so.
Okay.
Oh, wait, she was absent in November, but she was at the December meeting. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow this again. So I think it was a quorum issue. More than what, I think she would agree to do it unless I'm jumping the gun. It's not explicitly in the minutes, so.
Then in that case, we have all three, because was it Alessa or Lucy that, I think it was Alessa that volunteered.
Melissa,
So
I think
if-
I'm the secretary, right?
yeah, so we're gonna vote on that right now. So since we have a quorum, we vote on those three positions, I guess I need a motion to approve that slate of officers.
So moved.
Thank you, Lane. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Melissa. All right, all those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand. Awesome, thank you guys very much. All right.
thank you, Steve, for wrangling us.
Yeah, oh, thanks Cynthia. She's the one that keeps the ship
Thank you, Cynthia.
upright and moving forward. So next we have one of the days for one of the subcommittee meetings fell on a holiday. So we have a revised 2023 calendar, which we would need to officially vote on to get that approved so that all those meetings can be noticed to the public, because we have such rousing public engagement at all of our subcommittee meetings. But to stay compliant with FOIA and all of that, I think it's on page 13 of our packet, the revised calendar. So if you guys, someone.
Yeah, I overlooked the fact that, let's see, the governance subcommittee meets the first Friday of the month every 3 months. And I overlooked the fact that in April, that is Good Friday.
Gotcha, okay.
So I think we were proposing possibly the 14th. Is that what I put there?
Yep, that works. All the other dates should be the same as the one we looked at our last. And so if that's okay with everybody, I'll take a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar with Josh's amendment.
Perfect, thank you very much. Is there a second? Nancy, thank you. Those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Any opposed, abstentions? So moved. Excellent. We have, I think we went through our terms, Cynthia and I discussed that. Cynthia went through and figured out the term thing, so we're all good. Our two members that were rolling over have agreed to re-sign on. So thank you, Lane and Melissa, for extending your service. We greatly appreciate it. Next, we still need a delegate for the Taste of Mansfield Champion Award. Last year, Brian had done that. I think he was at our meeting last month, and he didn't jump at the opportunity. I don't know if someone else wants to try.
I think he was at the meeting last month, but he had to leave before this agenda item came up or something.
Got it.
So we really don't know whether he's jumping at the opportunity or not, I think is the deal. Would
anyone else like to jump quicker?
this would probably take an hour of your time. It's a pretty easy lift, I think. Reviewing applications, meeting with the staff team. I know the Ag Committee has somebody. Last year they didn't, and we're trying to have someone from the Ag Committee and the EDC. So no pressure, just Just a little pressure.
Nancy, were you
I
going?
stay-
No?
I could help if
I
if
mean,
needed.
I don't think I'm the right person to do that, just
Lucy,
because of my business.
Lucy, if you'd be interested, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sorry. I'm sick, so my head's kind of
Oh,
all
no.
over the place. No.
Okay,
But yeah,
good.
happy to help. Happy to help.
I'll send you some stuff, Lucy. Thank you.
Okay, great.
You feel better.
Thanks.
Sorry, my screen keeps dropping. Four corners internet. There we go. Next on our discussion is the town council budget presentation. This is sort of just a placeholder to let you know that we're working on this. We should have it ready, I think, for our next meeting, as I believe we're presenting to town council in March. If I remember correctly, I think that's what we told me. Right?
Yeah, last time I talked to Tasha, and I don't know, Ryan, if it's been confirmed. I think it's the last meeting in March. Last year was the first meeting, but I think it's still gonna be the last.
Yeah, sorry, I was coming off mute. It's either March or April, I believe. I'd have to check the schedule.
Okay, so we may have a next meeting in there, if so. If anyone has any thoughts ahead of time, let us know, but we'll update this last time. Current stuff and we kind of the simple format. Next, we have town collect. I missed that meeting. I think Tony is at that stuff. So maybe make a quick update on the last UConn framework committee meeting.
Now Brian can fill in the blanks. It was partially an introduction of Radenka Malik to the committee. Their commitment to this work is ongoing and strong, so that's very hopeful. There's also been some significant reorganization in Gully Hall, so that Lloyd Blanchard, who was the CFO, is now director of, or vice president for planning and strategic something, but it means that a lot of people answer to him, and he's got the presidency here, and he's very much interested in our work. So those are the good news pieces. Ryan, did I forget anything?
I think you synopsized it. I mean, we basically said our collective New Year's resolution, given all the transitions that have been happening, particularly with UConn and the president's office, was just to kind of rededicate ourselves to this year. In particular, the actually making progress on the development of the framework. We've had, I think, a lot of productive discussions all along, just sharing information between the parties about ongoing projects and priorities, but we do really want to buckle down this year and start to develop this framework that was the genesis of the whole, bringing this group together. But I would echo what also Tony said about, Lloyd. Lloyd's been a great partner since he was interim CFO, taking over in that role. And now that he's in a more permanent position that's been ironed out in the president's administration, I look forward to continuing to cultivate that relationship.
The other thing is that Kara Workman will remain our liaison with the university, and even though she's returning to her prior office, it doesn't mean that her responsibilities are changing in any way. So that's also good news for the town.
I can add a little bit if that's okay, Steve and Tony and Ryan.
Sure.
So
Go for it.
at the last meeting, Kara had asked me to give an overview on the partnership as well. So I
Right.
gave an overview to the group, and I have not updated Tony and Ryan, but we had the smaller kind of framework group that Ryan referred to. So that's Kara Workman, Lloyd, Jennifer Kaufman, town planner, myself met, I think last week or the week before. Kara and Ryan and previously Linda Painter and I had kind of done our own outline for this framework. So Lloyd has taken on working with what we've been talking about, with what some of the priorities are for the university. So to have a new document for the smaller group to work off of, and I think we're meeting February 14th. So there's some new momentum, as Ryan alluded to.
I wasn't at that meeting, but I did get the email that Ryan sent out afterwards regarding the 2 proposed roundabouts. I don't know if we want to bring that up here or.
Well, that's a very interesting proposal. You know, one of the issues is that the town has been trying to build a sidewalk from Towers to Four Corners. And with the construction of the standard at Four Corners, the need for sidewalks there is even greater. And also the state has been looking into creating roundabouts at dangerous intersections. And that intersection of Four Corners is one intersection where they have been interested in doing a roundabout. It's not high on the list, but it is definitely on the list. So the town is rethinking its proposal for a sidewalk to include the construction of a roundabout that will be designed to slow traffic, to make the intersection safer, but also to make the whole intersection much safer for pedestrians. Because it's going to be a real problem when that building is built, those apartments are built. Not to mention the other proposals that are coming down the road from 2 other places up there. So that raises the cost dramatically. I mean, it more than triples the cost of the project. But there's some hope that it might be interesting enough to attract the attention of DOT and some other folks.
The other thing I might add there is that, you know, from a standpoint of potentially getting some state funding for the project in terms of the roundabout piece, it's actually 2 roundabouts. So it's a roundabout at 44 and 195, which as Tony just said, that's already registered, you know, somewhat highly on a priority roundabout list that's been generated at the state level. But we're envisioning a second roundabout at 320 and 195 because of the way traffic would otherwise queue at that light if you didn't have a pair of roundabouts there. But the idea is that with UConn being the flagship, or sorry, Mansfield being the home to the state's flagship state university, that, you know, with 169 towns in Connecticut and DOT's goal of expanding support for roundabouts statewide, that if we had a pair of successful roundabouts in a prominent spot near the UConn campus in Mansfield, it might actually kind of buoy the state's efforts to garner support for roundabouts across the state. So we're going to be coming at this from an angle that, you know, fund this here, use this as, you know, a sort of shining example of how roundabouts can be done well across the state, not just for pedestrian safety, but also for aesthetic enhancements. Certainly would make for a much more aesthetically pleasing gateway, so to speak, entrance to the downtown area than the existing arrangement.
I'm not sure whether this isn't pie in the sky or a really exciting innovation, but we'll see.
It's for real.
A roundabout is in the shape of a pie, so.
Well, it's 2 roundabouts, so we're going to call it the Q-tip.
I like it. I guess I can do my own research, but roundabouts and pedestrians, just how to make them walkable is an interesting question.
It has to do with the pedestrian places where you can stand to be protected between the intersections. So the intersection itself is shorter and slower, and so I can't remember the term. It's a safety zone, basically.
Yep. Okay.
You can get to it and not be in the middle of traffic.
I like it.
Yeah, you ultimately would be crossing fewer lanes, and there would be, you know, refuge kind of in the middle.
That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you cross into the middle, you have, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I will champion sidewalks anywhere in this town if you need me.
Cynthia?
Melissa, I was just gonna, for for the newer folks, there was originally one potentially proposed at 195 and South Eagleville and Charles Smith Way, where the downtown, when the 195 was reconfigured. But Norm Garrick, who's a professor at UConn, he's done a lot of work on pedestrians and roundabouts. If you're interested in looking at any of his stuff, he's kind of been a big proponent, so.
I was under the impression that 320 was gonna cross right over into like Mike's Pizza, the gas station there. So how is a roundabout gonna work there?
It will get rid of the traffic light, so you'll just go around and go out the other side. But it will avoid people having to come to a full stop.
Yeah, we have a, it's not a fully engineered site plan or whatever you want to call it by any means, but our engineering staff in Public Works have created, basically a conceptual plan. So we could certainly circulate that to the EDC so you can get a better sense of how it's all laid out.
Yeah, because I think my experience with roundabouts, it goes onto a road, not into a parking lot. Is that, isn't that correct?
I hear what you're saying. I know that I've seen roundabouts where you can actually have sort of a, depending on how it's worked, an on-ramp or an off-ramp that does actually go into a parking area. So I would have to look back at this. I don't recall well enough on what our folks have already worked up to see what accommodation they've made for that. I mean, they're definitely aware of the traffic that exits 195 into Mike's and your parking area back there. So I'll track down the documentation and circulate it.
Yeah, I would like that. Only because, a roundabout at 195 and 44. Yeah, great. That sounds awesome. But it just seems like such a short distance from 320 to 44. It's like 25, what is it, 25 feet?
Well, and that's actually why we're saying it's in fact needed, is because of the distance and the concern of what would happen with cars as they slow down entering that roundabout at 44 and 195 as they back up towards an existing light, just by virtue of going slower during you could end up basically having vehicles blocking the intersection with 320. So that's why it's kind of like they believe.
I got what you're saying.
Together.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. She's got it.
Yeah, that makes, when I'm looking at it, it makes a little bit more sense than with you explaining it. So thank you.
So yeah, you can see the direct access there.
And it's a direct access right to the back of your restaurant.
It is.
All right. Any other questions on this one? Thank you very much. Next, we have the promotion of Art Mansfield. This one, again, is more of a placeholder thing. I don't think we have any new news to report on this. But we have kind of keeping an eye, not just for that event that we were hoping to kind of generate, but also the cultural district discussion. We're waiting to get some feedback from UConn on who their representatives may be, since many of the cultural assets and what we envision to be the district would be UConn related. So we will hopefully have more for you at our next meeting, but we're keeping it on the agenda just so we don't forget. One thing that I should have added to the agenda that I forgot to add was the new school, which is nearing completion. And we have a move-in date that looks very achievable, which will be April vacation from this year. So, the school in and of itself isn't so much an economic driver, but I think indirectly it is, because it's going to be something that's a lot of people are going to want to move to our area to be part of. And maybe not just residents, but who knows, maybe also business. Because it's going to be the first net zero school, and it's a brand new school. And it's absolutely gorgeous and really, really a really exciting project. So when Ryan mentioned earlier, trying to sell the state on a couple of roundabouts as us being a test case for showing how roundabouts work, this new school has been a test case for showing how you can do net zero in a public school without some crazy budget. We were able to pull off net zero school with the standard reimbursement rates that you get for building a regular school, which is a pretty mind-blowing thing, especially since we did it during COVID and 11% inflation and all these other things. So very, very exciting, and should be coming online very soon. And I don't know if the mayor or Ryan have anything to want to add to that, by all means, feel free.
I would only say, and there's still no specific date that has been, sort of chiseled in stone, but just to say that I think we are measuring the time between now and substantial completion, which is when we get beneficial use of the building. It's really measured in days at this point. We are very, very close based on the updates that the building department and others are providing. So as Steve said, definitely have a ways to go, and there's a lot of work to be done between now and when school would start in April. But I definitely think, my personal opinion, I think that despite the fact that in theory February move-in date was still achievable, I think making the call for April was the right one. I think it gives us added time to make sure that the building is in perfect top flight shape before the community really gets introduced to it. You don't end up having to deal with small little imperfections and things that will be worked out with time. We want the first impression to be the best one.
Absolutely.
Have any of you been in it?
Yes.
Yeah. Every couple of weeks, probably for the last few months anyway.
Can't wait.
You'll be blown away in a good way. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Actually, I should have said earlier when my microphone was on, I just wanted to publicly thank you, Steve. I know you have a very saturated schedule, and you were just coming back from making a trip with family in Florida. I just want to publicly thank you for carving out the time in a very full schedule last week to present at the last session of the Local Government Academy, Mansfield Local Government Academy. In addition to being the wrap-up night, we, for the second year in a row, we sort of concluded with a discussion about municipal boards and committees. And the joke I made was, they've been to 11 sessions. That was the 12th session. It's kind of like the timeshare breakfast where, this is now the town's chance to make the sales pitch, try to get something out of them. But Steve, I just want to say you did a great job of talking about your experience on the committees you serve on. And of course, you highlighted Economic Development Commission, but really appreciate you taking the time. And I think, you helped galvanize some interest. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I take the opportunity. I hope we turn out one or two EDC members from that, because I definitely put the sales pitch on. So fingers crossed. All right. So we have, sorry, someone else? Sorry. Nope. Right. So we have some communications in our packet. Our next upcoming meeting is February 16th. Is there anything else anyone has for the good of the order this evening? And I think that takes us to the end of our agenda. Next would be a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, move from Lane, second from Nancy. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening. See you next month.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good night.
You too.